Hello, how's your day going? Have you had a chance to look at the bug report I sent you earlier?
Hi. My day's good. I did receive your bug report, but I haven't had a chance to dive into it yet. I'm finishing up another task. How about you?
That's okay. I've been working on the new feature we discussed. I've made some progress, but I'm facing a few challenges with the authentication part.
I see. What kind of challenges are you encountering with the authentication?
Well, the API isn't responding as expected. I've double-checked the code, but it seems like there might be an issue with the server-side configuration. I might need your help to debug it.
Of course, I'll take a look once I'm done with this task. How about your progress on the feature overall? Have you completed other parts of it?
I've managed to implement the user interface and connect it to the backend, but without proper authentication, I can't fully test it. So, it's kind of stuck until we resolve this issue.
I understand. Once we get the authentication sorted, I can help with testing too. Can you give me access to your code so I can take a closer look?
Definitely. I'll share the repository with you, and we can collaborate on it. By the way, how's your progress on the task assigned by the project manager?
It's going well. I've completed most of the front-end work. I just need to add some final touches and then conduct some testing. I should be able to finish it by tomorrow.
That's great to hear. It sounds like you're making good progress. Do you foresee any challenges with the remaining work?
Not really. The main challenge was handling responsive design, but I've sorted that out. Now it's mostly about refining the user experience and ensuring everything works smoothly.
Excellent. It's good to know that everything is on track for your task. Regarding my bug report, if you find anything in my code that could help with the authentication issue, please let me know.
Sure, I'll keep an eye out for that. We might also want to check the server logs for any error messages. Sometimes, that can give us valuable insights into what's going wrong.
Good point. I'll take a look at the server logs as well. By the way, how do you manage your time when working on multiple tasks like this?
Time management can be a challenge, but I use a task management tool to prioritize my work. I allocate specific time blocks for each task, and I try to minimize distractions during those periods.
That sounds like a smart approach. I should consider using a similar tool to keep myself organized. Do you have any recommendations for task management software?
Personally, I like using Trello and Google Calendar. Trello helps me track the progress of my tasks, and Google Calendar keeps me aware of deadlines and meetings.
Thanks for the suggestions. I'll check those out. How about dealing with blockers or when you're stuck on a problem? Any tips?
When I'm stuck, I usually take a short break to clear my mind. I might discuss the issue with a colleague or search for solutions online. Sometimes, a fresh perspective can help.
I'll keep that in mind. I tend to get tunnel vision when I'm stuck, so taking a break and seeking input from others might be a good change of pace.
Absolutely, it's easy to get caught up in a problem. Collaborative problem solving often leads to innovative solutions. So, don't hesitate to reach out when you're stuck with that authentication issue.
I appreciate your willingness to help. I'll keep you updated on any progress I make in the meantime.
Great. Just send me a message when you're ready to share the code, and I'll take a look as soon as I can.
Hi, I'd like to know more about the testing phase of our project. What types of testing are being conducted, and are there any critical issues that require immediate attention?
We're currently performing various types of testing, including unit testing, integration testing, and user acceptance testing.
That sounds comprehensive. Could you elaborate on each type and its purpose?
Unit testing focuses on individual components, verifying that they work as intended. Integration testing ensures these components interact correctly, and user acceptance testing evaluates the system's overall usability and functionality from the user's perspective.
Thanks for the explanation. Are there any critical issues or challenges that have arisen during testing?
We've encountered some issues during integration testing, particularly with third-party service integrations. These issues need immediate attention to ensure a smooth flow.
I see. Integration can be tricky. What's the plan to address these issues and get the integrations working as intended?
We've already reported the issues to the third-party service providers, and our development team is working on temporary workarounds to maintain project progress. Once we receive fixes or updates, we'll implement them.
Good to know that action is being taken. Are there any issues from user acceptance testing, or is it progressing smoothly?
User acceptance testing has been generally smooth, but a few minor issues related to user experience and interface adjustments have been identified. We're addressing those in collaboration with our client.
It's great that the client is actively involved in user acceptance testing. How are you managing these user experience and interface adjustments?
We're maintaining a feedback loop with the client. Their input is invaluable in refining the user experience and ensuring the interface meets their expectations.
Collaboration is crucial for a successful project. Are there any specific areas where additional support or resources are required for testing?
Additional resources for user acceptance testing would be helpful to speed up testing cycles. We might consider expanding the testing team to ensure thorough coverage.
It's a good idea to allocate more resources for user acceptance testing, especially when you're dealing with adjustments. Hi, I wanted to catch up on our project. Can you give me an overview of where we stand? What milestones have we reached so far?
Sure, let's talk project status. We've completed the design phase and made substantial progress on development. Most features are implemented.
That's good to hear. Any major challenges or blockers we should be aware of?
Well, we did encounter some issues with third-party APIs, but our team is actively working on resolving them. There are no showstoppers as of now.
That's a relief. How about testing and quality assurance? Have we started that phase yet?
Yes, we've begun testing the core functionalities. So far, it's looking promising, but we should anticipate more testing efforts in the coming weeks.
Great. What's the timeline for wrapping up the development phase and moving into the testing phase for the remaining features?
We're aiming to complete the development phase in 2 weeks. Then, we'll allocate another 2 weeks for testing, including the remaining features and thorough QA.
Sounds like a reasonable plan. Are there any specific tasks or areas where you'd like additional support?
We could use extra hands for testing, especially during the final push. Also, if anyone has expertise in API integrations, that'd be very valuable.
I'll keep an eye out for potential support. How about documentation and training materials? Have we started working on those?
We have some initial documentation, but it's not comprehensive yet. Once we stabilize the features, we'll put more focus on creating user manuals and training resources.
Perfect. Communication is crucial. I'll make sure our team stays on top of that. What about any potential risks or roadblocks we should be aware of?
One potential risk is the availability of the external consultant for the API issues. If they're delayed, it might affect our timeline. We're closely monitoring that.
Good to know. We should have a contingency plan just in case. Are there any outstanding decisions that need to be made?
We have a few design choices pending, and we'll need your input on those. It's mostly about user experience and layout preferences.
All right, I'll review those and provide my feedback. How's the team's morale and overall collaboration? Any concerns there?
The team spirits are high and collaboration is smooth. We hold regular meetings to ensure everyone's aligned, and it's working well to address any concerns promptly.
That's great to hear. Keeping everyone engaged and motivated is essential for a successful project. Let's maintain that positive momentum.
Absolutely. As long as we keep communication open and stay agile in our approach, we should be in good shape. Anything else on your mind?
Just one last thing. Do we have a plan for the deployment and rollout of the project?
Yes, we have a deployment plan in place. Once testing is complete, we'll have a gradual rollout to ensure a smooth transition for our users.
Wonderful. It seems like we're on the right track. I appreciate the update. If you need any support or if any issues arise, please keep me informed.
I will, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions or suggestions along the way.
Hi, let's talk about our upcoming project milestones. Do you have a clear overview of what's coming up, including feature releases and deadlines?
Absolutely. We've got some key milestones ahead. Our first one is the feature release scheduled for next week.
That's approaching quickly. Are all the features on track for that release?
Yes, we've made good progress. Most features are implemented and undergoing final testing. It looks promising.
Excellent. What's our plan for client presentations? When can we expect to showcase our work to them?
We've set a client presentation for the end of next month. That gives us time to fine-tune and test everything thoroughly.
Good to hear. It's crucial to ensure everything is polished before the client sees it. How about the testing phase? When does that start?
Testing kicks off in 2 weeks. We'll have a dedicated testing phase before the client presentation to catch any last-minute issues.
That sounds like a well-structured plan. Have you identified any potential risks or challenges related to these upcoming milestones?
One concern is the third-party API integration. If there are delays or issues on their end, it could impact our timeline. We're monitoring it closely.
Right, we should have a contingency plan in case that happens. And what about documentation and training materials for the client?
We'll start working on that in parallel with the testing phase. It's important to have user manuals and training resources ready well in advance.
Great, preparation is key. Have you discussed with the team if there are any tasks or areas where they might need extra support?
We might need additional testing resources as the deadline approaches. It would help us ensure comprehensive coverage.
I'll keep an eye out for potential support. Communication is essential, too. How are you planning to keep the team in sync for these milestones?
We're having frequent team meetings to discuss progress, challenges, and make necessary adjustments. Open communication is the key to staying on track.
Perfect, that's the way to go. Is there anything else we should be aware of in the run-up to these milestones?
We're in a good place, but some design choices need your input. It's mostly about user experience and layout preferences.
I'll make sure to review those and provide my feedback promptly. How's the overall collaboration and morale of the team?
Collaboration is smooth, and the team's morale is high. We have a positive atmosphere, and everyone is engaged and motivated.
That's fantastic to hear. A motivated team can accomplish great things. Let's keep that positive energy going.
Absolutely. As long as we maintain our collaborative spirit and open communication, we're on the right track. Anything else on your mind?
Just one last thing. Do we have a plan for the deployment and rollout of the project after the client presentation?
Yes, we have a deployment plan in place. After client approval, we'll ensure a gradual rollout to minimize disruption.
Great. Thanks for the update. Hi, I wanted to discuss our project's dependencies and roadblocks. Are there any tasks that are waiting on external resources or decisions that could slow our progress?
Absolutely, there are a few dependencies we need to address. First, we're waiting for the marketing team to provide the final design assets for the user interface.
That's an important one. Do we have a timeline for when we can expect those design assets to be ready?
They assured us they'd deliver the designs by the end of this week. It's a bit tight, but we've made them aware of our development schedule.
Good, it's essential that they understand the urgency. What's our plan if they don't meet the deadline?
If we don't receive the assets in time, we'll create a temporary UI with placeholders to keep development moving. It won't be ideal but will help us avoid major delays.
That sounds like a reasonable backup plan. Any other dependencies we should be aware of?
Yes, we're also waiting for approval on the third-party service subscription. It's taking longer than expected due to their internal review process.
I see. Can we reach out to them for an estimated timeline on when the subscription will be approved?
We've already done that, and they've promised to expedite the review. It's a critical dependency for our project, so we're following up closely.
Excellent. It's crucial to maintain that communication. What's the impact on our project if the subscription approval is delayed?
It affects the core functionality of our project. We'd need to find alternative services or solutions if the approval is significantly delayed.
Understood. Let's hope for a swift approval. Are there any other dependencies or roadblocks we need to address?
One more thing, we're waiting for feedback from the client regarding the initial project scope. They have requested some modifications, which could affect our timeline.
How substantial are the requested modifications? Do we have clarity on what they entail?
We're still waiting for detailed feedback. Once we receive it, we'll assess the impact on the project and make the necessary adjustments.
It's essential to be flexible, but we should also manage expectations. Have we informed the client about any potential delays?
Yes, we've kept them informed about the possibility of changes to the timeline. Open communication with the client is vital in such situations.
Absolutely. Let's maintain transparency. How are you planning to address these dependencies and roadblocks moving forward?
We've created a dependency tracking document that we update regularly. It helps us prioritize tasks and find solutions in case of delays.
That's a good approach. It's important to stay organized and proactive. Do you need any additional support or resources to manage these dependencies?
Extra resources for design and development may be necessary if we face significant delays. It's a consideration we should keep in mind.
I'll keep that in my notes. Proactive planning is key. Is there anything else you'd like to discuss regarding dependencies or roadblocks?
Just a reminder to maintain close communication with all relevant teams and stakeholders. It helps us stay on top of any potential issues.
Hi, I heard there have been some scope changes on our project. Can you give me an update on what's evolving and how it impacts our work?
Yes, there have been some changes. The client requested additional features, which were not part of the original scope.
I see. Are these changes significant, and how do they affect our project timeline?
The changes are moderate, but they will add some extra development time. We've assessed the impact and communicated a revised timeline to the client.
Good to know. How are these scope changes being managed to ensure they don't lead to scope creep?
We're documenting all changes and discussing them with the client for approval. Once approved, they become part of the new project scope, and we adjust our work accordingly.
That sounds like a structured approach. How are you communicating these changes to the development team?
We hold regular team meetings to update everyone on the evolving scope and any adjustments needed. It's crucial to keep the team aligned with the changes.
Absolutely, communication is key. Have you identified any potential risks or challenges due to these scope changes?
The main challenge is to maintain the timeline and ensure the new features integrate seamlessly with the existing ones. We're closely monitoring it.
It's essential to keep an eye on integration issues. Do these scope changes require additional resources or skills?
Yes, we might need extra development resources for the new features. We're evaluating our current capacity to decide if we need to bring in additional team members.
Keeping a close eye on resource allocation is a wise move. How do you plan to ensure that the original project goals and quality standards are maintained?
We're adhering to the initial project objectives and ensuring that quality remains a top priority. Any changes are assessed for their impact on the project's overall goals.
Maintaining quality is crucial. Do you foresee any further scope changes in the near future, or have we addressed all the client's requests?
We've had detailed discussions with the client to understand their needs thoroughly. While we can't predict future changes, we're making sure all current requests are documented.
That's a prudent approach. It's important to be well prepared. How do these changes affect our testing and quality assurance processes?
We've incorporated the new features into our testing plans. The testing team is aware of the changes and will adjust their procedures accordingly.
Good to hear that testing is also adapting to the changes. Let's stay proactive and keep our project moving forward. We'll talk soon. Hi, I'd like to discuss how our team is collaborating and communicating. Are there regular meetings, and how are they structured?
Yes, we have regular meetings. We hold weekly status meetings to share updates, discuss challenges, and set priorities.
That sounds structured. How do these meetings typically go, and who participates?
The meetings usually begin with a progress update from each team member. Then, we discuss any challenges and brainstorm solutions. It involves our development, testing, and design teams.
It's great to involve different teams. How do you ensure that everyone is engaged and participating actively in these meetings?
We maintain an agenda to keep the discussion focused. Each team member has a chance to speak, and we encourage open communication. It's important that everyone feels heard.
Effective communication is key. How do you handle action items and follow-ups from these meetings?
We document action items and assign responsibility for each task. We follow up in the next meeting to track progress and address any issues.
That's a good way to stay organized. Do you ever encounter any challenges in these meetings?
Occasionally, we may face time constraints, which can limit in-depth discussions. In such cases, we schedule separate meetings to address specific issues.
It's important to allocate enough time for important discussions. Do you have any suggestions for improving team collaboration and communication further?
We could consider using collaborative tools like shared documents and task management software to enhance transparency and keep everyone updated.
Those are great suggestions. Collaborative tools can streamline communication. Are there any cultural or language barriers within the team, and if so, how do you address them?
We have team members from diverse backgrounds, but we encourage everyone to speak up and ask for clarification if they don't understand something. It fosters a supportive environment.
That's a considerate approach. Ensuring that everyone is comfortable asking questions is crucial.
Hi, have there been any recent feedback from clients or stakeholders? How is this feedback being addressed, and are there any action items for the development team?
Yes, we received some feedback. It's mainly related to the user interface, where the client had some design preferences.
I see. How are we addressing this feedback, and what specific design changes are they requesting?
We're scheduling a meeting with the client to discuss their design preferences in detail. They've requested some adjustments to the color scheme and layout.
Good to know that we're engaging with the client to understand their preferences. Are these design changes major, or can we accommodate them without affecting the project timeline significantly?
The design changes are relatively minor and shouldn't cause any major delays. We'll work closely with the design team to implement them as efficiently as possible.
That's reassuring. Do you foresee any challenges in incorporating these design changes, or are they straightforward to implement?
The design changes are straightforward, and our design team is experienced in making such adjustments. It should be a smooth process without significant challenges.
Excellent. How about action items for the development team? Are there any coding or development tasks resulting from this feedback?
Yes, there will be some coding tasks related to the design adjustments. We'll ensure that the development team is aware of the changes and can implement them accordingly.
Great. It's important to keep the development team informed. How often do we anticipate receiving feedback from the client or stakeholders during the project?
We typically receive feedback at key milestones or when specific deliverables are presented to the client. It can vary, but we aim for regular check-ins to ensure we're aligned with their expectations.
That sounds like a reasonable approach. Let's continue to engage with the client effectively and deliver a high-quality product. Thank you.